everybody, this is Brian, and you are listening to the Perfectly Screwed podcast. I want to start off by saying to everybody out there who is our diehard fans, I see you, that this will be the final episode of Perfectly Screwed. I'm here by myself this time. So for all you listening, it's just me. Sometimes in life, we start out with the best intentions, but, things get in the way. And Jason right now has some stuff that is going on, so he no longer is available to do the podcast. So, basically, we made a decision that the podcast is going to shut down. And, there's like 20 or 30 of you that listen every week. And for you guys, I want you to know that this has been a large amount of fun for us, especially, for me personally. I enjoy this highly, and I appreciate you guys that are diehard fans of the podcast and listen to us every week. And for you guys, I want to say that it's been great doing a podcast for you guys, and I'm glad you enjoyed it all this time. And if you happen upon this podcast later on, and have never listened to us before, but are listening, well, this will be the last episode. So I'm glad anybody who listens from this point on, I'm glad you enjoyed anything me and Jason have ever put out. So, and I know Jason would feel the same way. So anyways, enough of that though. Let's get to the final episode of Perfectly Screwed. So, first thing, guys, that I want to talk about today is some of the things that's going on in the news right now. It's kind of a crazy time if you're into paranormal in any way, shape, or form. Because, the things that are going on right now are kind of crazy. First of all, there was what we know now is a balloon that was shot down over Canada. There was an unidentified flying object that they said was a balloon, a Chinese spy balloon. But there's been two other objects over the U.S. that they shot down. One up in the northern part of the U.S. and one over the water. And all reports out of the military right now is that they don't know what these objects were. They don't know how they were flying or how they stayed afloat. And they don't know if they were spy satellites, spy drones, what they were. Their best guess is they were spy drones. That's what the official quote-unquote report is right now. But my point is this. You don't know what they were. Okay? You don't know what they are. And you don't even know how they stayed afloat. I mean, that seems very suspicious to me. I mean, and coming out of the government, they're saying that they weren't like anything, extraterrestrial, otherworldly. That's what they're saying. They want to assure everybody they weren't alien in technology. But can we really trust the government? Can we really trust the United States government to tell us the 100% truth? As you've heard many times on this podcast, probably not 100% true. They put stuff out there and it becomes, filtered through different channels. Just like, there was a weather balloon that went down, at Roswell. As we well know, we've talked about that on this show. And you have a weather balloon over Roswell, quote unquote a weather balloon. And good and damn well it wasn't a weather balloon. I mean, there's no way it was a weather balloon. And, pretty much everybody knows that what happened at Roswell was no weather balloon. This is a spy satellite, okay. Even the balloon in Canada, it was a spy balloon from the Chinese. Do we really believe this? You know what I'm saying? Are we really going to say, yeah, it was a spy balloon from the Chinese? It's always a balloon. It's either a weather balloon, a spy balloon, some type of balloon is always floating around, and we're shooting it down. Okay? So, the thing is, we've got two sides to this. It could either, it could have been a balloon. Okay? But if it's a spy balloon from China, then what you've got is, if these are drones from other countries spying on us, then what you've got is spy software that are drones from other countries. So is that better or worse than alien technology? I mean, either way, it's scary because you have other countries, either spying on us, trying to find out our weaknesses, which is no good if it's China or Russia or one of the countries that have a large military, that have nuclear capabilities, that could bomb us. You don't want those countries to, be investigating what you're doing and looking into it. Or it's alien technology. And if it's alien technology, again, some people would be very uncomfortable with that. Me personally, I believe in aliens. I think aliens exist. Is this alien in nature? Who knows? But the point being is that alien technology doesn't really scare me in any way, shape, or form. Our government thinks in reality, and the fact that China could bomb us at any point, or Russia, or, many of these other countries, those are much more realistic, scary things that are possibly going on for me to worry about, other than possible aliens coming down investigating what the fuck we're doing. So you take that basically as it is. Make up your own mind on those things. And as so many things, as we've talked about on this podcast, you got to make up your own mind. You got to think, outside the box. And if anything, what me and Jason have always tried to do on this podcast is, put a little down your mind. Let you think for yourself. And that's a problem that a lot of people have nowadays that they don't do, is think for themselves. And if you pull anything from these episodes and our time together that we've spent together on these podcasts, I want you to question everything, and think for yourself, open your mind. And that's the point we've tried to get across always on Perfectly Screwed, is that you can't believe anything at face value. Nothing I tell you, nothing Jason tells you or has told you, nothing you read in the media, nothing you're told. You have got to think for yourself and open your eyes and say, is what I'm reading, is what I'm hearing, is what is happening, is it bullshit or is it true? And then research it. Go into it, see if you can find out the same information that we found out, or information that other people are giving you. But always ask yourself, is what I'm reading bullshit? Or is what they're saying, is there a possibility that something else could be going on? And that's kind of sort of what we're talking about today, is some of the bullshit that the United States has given us over the years. First of all, I want you to picture something. Okay? Picture Boulder County, Idaho. It's a rural setting, out in the woods, It's a peaceful August night. It's about dusk. The, moon's just coming up, the sun's setting. It's kind of dark outside, but still nice. But you're out in the woods, and you're a young 14-year-old boy, and you're walking your dog. And you're walking out on your property, and you've been trained by your parents because, you do live in the woods, and you do live in this rural area, to use weapons. And, of course, being out there walking your dog, in the woods, in this setting, you would be carrying a weapon with you. And this is what happened on August 21st, 1992. And this happened in Boundary County, Idaho. And it's the site of a siege that happened in a place that we now know as Ruby Ridge. So, a 14-year-old boy was walking in the woods near his family cabin. And there he came upon a guy that was in full military dress. It was a U.S. Marshal. He was in complete SWAT gear. So, if you don't know, that means he was wearing all black, military boots, bulletproof vest. He was wearing a black face mask. They were in a covert mission. And they were crawling through the woods. So, this boy with his dog comes upon this man on his property crawling through the woods. He doesn't know who the man is. It's late at night. It's just him and his dog out here in the woods. He's got his gun with him, to defend himself from predators, wild animals. So, of course, the boy shoots at the guy. This guy has a military-grade rifle on him, mind you. He's crawling around in full SWAT gear in the middle of the evening. So the boy takes shots at him. And unfortunately, the U.S. Marshal shot back and killed the boy. Killed the dog. And they were also shot. So they also died during this standoff. But what we're talking about is Ruby Ridge, and it was an 11-day siege in 92. It was when deputies of the United States Marshal Service initiated action to apprehend and arrest Randy Weaver under a bench warrant for failure to appear on firearms charges. Now, let me explain. This guy had charges against him for having illegal firearms and excessive firearms on his property. So, a U.S. judge issued a warrant. This guy went to court for his first appearance, and they set up a trial. So he was supposed to reappear. He was arrested on the firearms charges, and he was supposed to reappear for trial. Well, he did not. He didn't go to trial. So when you don't show up to court, the judge issues a bench warrant. Okay, now normally when a judge issues a bench warrant, be it a federal judge or a state judge or a county judge or whatever, usually one officer comes, they knock on your door, they arrest you, or a couple officers come, they arrest you, take you to jail, and then make you go to court. But it's a minor charge. Like if you are, say you miss a court date here in Indiana, you're going to have a couple cops show up your door. They will probably take you into custody. And at that point, they're going to hold you until you go to court. But it's a very minor charge. It's not even a criminal offense. It's just a bench warrant. It means you failed to appear. You pissed off the judge. So why is it that this guy, they decided to use a bunch of U.S. Marshals, a hostage rescue team, and the FBI all came in and with fully automatic weapons stood at this guy's house and then proceeds in the cover of night to sneak up on the house and then ends up shooting his 14-year-old son, shooting his dog. I mean, a lot of people died in this. And if you ask me, and if you ask the court system, actually, because later on, they ended up suing the courts over this situation. And it was a blatant abuse of power on the part of the FBI and the U.S. government and the U.S. Marshal Service. There was no need for the actions that they initiated during this whole thing to go on. I mean, yes, I understand this guy had guns, okay? And they did not know how many guns this guy had. I get that, okay? I get that they were probably, saying, hey, this guy might have a whole arsenal up here. Maybe we should go in kind of heavy. Okay, I understand that. But you don't even give the guy a chance to answer the door. You don't give a guy a chance to shoot at you. You take an undercover SWAT team, okay? You don't pull up in marked cars with lights on and say, hey, we would like to talk to you about a warrant. You missed your court date. You don't do that. You don't give the guy a chance to surrender. No, you decide that you're going to go in complete SWAT gear, undercover, black masks, and have a SWAT team come infiltrate this guy's yard with M16 rifles and go whopping through the woods in the middle of the night to try to apprehend this guy, and then you wonder why it ended badly. Well, of course it ended badly. The guy doesn't even know who you are, doesn't know why you're here. The 14-year-old boy didn't even know why they were there. All the 14-year-old knows when he comes upon you in the woods is you got a bunch of guys crawling around the property in the middle of the night in the middle of the woods. He's a 14-year-old boy trying to walk his dog on his own property in the middle of the night. And the 14-year-old did nothing. Now, did he shoot at the officers? Of course. But what are you going to do? Put yourself in this situation. You're out in the middle of the woods. Okay, you don't know who these people are. And you come upon, at 14 years old, a guy crawling through your woods, or a couple guys crawling through your woods, full black masks, full SWAT gear, bulletproof vests, with some serious military-grade artillery. I mean, you got to be reasonable here, guys. This is not the way our government and our military and our police force should handle a situation like this, period. And you wonder why the kid is shooting at you. So, when they came and they sieged this family and basically took the farmhouse under military control for way blown out reasons, Weaver, who was the guy they were trying to apprehend, he kind of refused to surrender, and members of his immediate family and a family friend, Kevin Harris, resisted as well. And that's when the hostage team came in and was involved in the situation. So, USMS reconnaissance of the Weaver property, 6 U.S. Marshals encountered Harris and Sammy, Weaver's 14-year-old son, in woods near the family cabin. A shootout took place. Deputy U.S. Marshal William Francis Deegan, Sammy Weaver, and the Weaver's dog, Striker, all died as a result. So see, okay, this is what you got. You got a U.S. Marshal, William Francis Deegan. He's crawling out in the woods. Sammy Weaver comes upon him. And like I said, Weaver, of course, opened fire on this guy. And the guy shot back and killed Sammy Weaver and killed the dog. What'd the dog do? Now, later on, okay, so they have this property surrounded, okay, at this point. They've called in, now they have the Marine Corps there, which, again, seems a bit excessive to me to get U.S. Marshals and Marines out here to apprehend a guy with guns, okay, on a bench warrant, mind you. Not a criminal offense, a bench warrant. So they've got the whole Marine crew out here. And they've got U.S. Marshals. They got the FBI. Now they have a hostage team. Okay? And these people are refusing to come out. You already shot their 14-year-old son, killed him. Okay? Then his wife, Vicky, Weaver's wife, was by a window. Came outside to talk to the FBI. She tried to come and talk. Okay? And an FBI sniper saying that he didn't know if she had a gun or if she was hostile. They just took her out. Okay, again, no questions. Chick comes out of the house. She's not armed. Okay, just wants to talk to the hostage negotiators. Is trying to defuse the situation a little bit. And a sniper takes her out. So now you have the U.S. government has basically came on your property with the full military, in full military gear, with high-powered weapons. Your private property. You're in your house just chilling, sleeping, whatever. And the military comes over nothing, mind you, but a bench warrant. And they have killed your 14-year-old son. And now your wife comes out to talk to him, and you have a military sniper take her out on the porch. I mean, what at this point are you supposed to do? I mean, you would be afraid to even come out of the house if you were in the house because you're afraid you're going to get shot. I mean, these people are just shooting people left and right. So, 11 days later, he comes out of the house and everything's solved by a civilian negotiator, which is where it should have started. Now, Randy Weaver and Kevin Harris were arraigned on a variety of federal charges, including first-degree murder for the death of Deegan. Harris was acquitted of all charges, and Weaver was acquitted of all the charges except for the original bail condition violation for the firearms charge and for having missed his original court date. So Weaver got fined $10,000 and sentenced to 18 months in prison. He got time served plus an additional 3 months and was released after 16 months. So, okay, let's get into that a little deeper. So now you have a whole military exercise where the U.S. Marines are coming out to his house. You've got this 11-day property siege where they've got snipers out here. They've got the U.S. Marines out here in full combat gear. You've got U.S. Marshals in full combat gear. You got the FBI out here. Now you have a civilian hostage team that comes out, and they talk these guys down to come out of the house. Which, given, these guys never shot at the U.S. Marshals. They never shot at the Marine Corps. The only one that took a shot other than the Marines and the U.S. Police and the U.S. Marshals and the FBI was Weaver's son, and he didn't even know who was crawling through the grass. They didn't even identify themselves. You know, all he saw was a dude in the grass. He shot at the dude, which anybody reasonably would probably do if you just see somebody out in the woods rolling around your property out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you're not going to ask questions, hey, who are you? Why do you have an M16 assault rifle crawling around in my grass in the middle of the night all in black? No, you're going to think somebody's trying to break in your house or something. You're going to shoot at them. Any reasonable human being would do that. That's what the 14-year-old did, and for his part in that of trying to defend his home, he got shot. Okay, his wife comes out, she gets shot. And when it's all said and done, they don't even charge these guys with anything. Nothing. The only thing Weaver got charged with was missing his court date. That's it. He got a fine and 16 months in jail for missing a court date. He never got charged with murder or anything else because there was no charge to give. So, during the criminal trial of Weaver and Harris, Weaver's attorney, Jerry Spence, made accusations of criminal wrongdoing against the agencies involved in the incident, particularly the FBI, the U.S. Marine Corps, the ATF, and the United States Attorney's Office for Idaho. At the trials in the Department of Justice Office of Professional Responsibility formed the Ruby Ridge Task Force to investigate the charges. The report was publicly released by Lexis Council Connect and raised questions about all participating agencies' conduct and policies. The Justice Department later posted a more complete version of the report. Both the Weaver family and the Harris family brought civil lawsuits against the federal government over the firefight and the siege. The Weavers won a combined out-of-court settlement in August of 1995 of $3.1 million after numerous appeals. Harris was awarded $380,000 in September of 2000. They also started a Senate subcommittee on terrorism, technology, and government information to answer the public questions about Ruby Ridge. And they held hearings between September 6th and October 9th, 1995, and later issued a report calling for reforms of federal law enforcement to prevent a repeat of losses of life at Ruby Ridge and restore public confidence in federal law enforcement. It has been observed that the Ruby Ridge incident and the 93 Waco siege involved many of the same agencies and the same personnel. The Government Accountability Office also conducted a review of federal policies about use of deadly force, publishing it in 1995. In 97, the Boulder County prosecutor indicated FBI HRT sniper Lon Hirochi, they indicted him for manslaughter before the statute of limitations for the charge could expire. It was moved to federal court. The case was dismissed because of the supremacy clause. So, basically, what the supremacy clause is, federal laws, treaties, is supreme law of the land and thus take priority over state laws. So basically, it's a conflict of laws rule. The supremacy clause is specifying that certain federal acts takes priority over any state acts that conflict with federal laws. So basically, what they were saying is because this was a federal incursion and because he was in the process of his duties in order to do what he did, that even though he shot an unarmed woman with a sniper rifle, he was not guilty, okay, under federal law. Now, he still could have been prosecuted under state law, and they looked into it, but the prosecutor said it'd be very hard to get a criminal conviction even under state law, because again, he was ordered to do what he did. He was in the process of his duties. So basically, it's like a my bad situation. Okay, he takes out this woman who is unarmed, coming out to talk to the FBI about this problem they're having when they invaded basically her property, and they shoot her. But it's like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, I didn't know she didn't have a gun. You know, should I shot her? Probably not, but, you know, I was ordered to, so I'm sorry. You know, my bad. That's just insane to me. All of this, from the moment I started reading about Ruby Ridge, it has been completely insane to me. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. And some of you might be die-hard military people, and that's cool. And I understand the United States government, a lot of you out there are going to say, you know, hey, you know, this guy had firearms. This guy, you know, they had a warrant. So, you know, and I get that. I get that part of it. But the point is, does our government have the right to come onto your property, your personal property that you own, and in full military gear, with the full force of the United States Marine Corps and the FBI and U.S. Marshals, and basically invade your property and just shoot your people without any real provocation to the fact? Do they have the right to do that? And me personally, I say no. I say no. As Americans, and I'm not the only one. I mean, a civil court said they didn't have the right to do it either. And clearly the government said they didn't have the right because they made many organizations to look into this. So, to get more into the whole sniper thing, okay, they requested support from Idaho's law enforcement, and after the next day, after, mind you, the whole U.S. Marine Corps surrounding this property, they basically called a state of emergency and deployed snipers. So on August 22nd, they changed to special rules of engagement. And they were approved by the FBI headquarters and the Marshal Service for use at Ruby Ridge. And they were as follows. If any adult in the area around the cabin is observed with a weapon after the surrender announcement has been made, deadly force can and should be utilized to neutralize the individual. If any adult is observed with a weapon prior to the announcement of deadly force, prior to the announcement of surrender, deadly force can and should be employed if the shot could be taken if you don't endanger any children. Now, they changed the second one to say any adult male, but this was after they killed his wife. They said if you're compromised by any dog, the dog can be taken out. So you can kill animals too, they're dogs. Any other subject other than Randy Weaver, Vicky Weaver, or Kevin Harris presenting a threat of death or bodily harm, deadly force can be applied. Deadly force can be utilized to prevent death or grievous bodily injury to oneself or to that of another. Okay, so basically, and then 4 days after Vicky Weaver's killed, okay, this is 4 days later after they issued these, and they've already killed Vicky Weaver, they took these back. They said that 4 days later, they say, agents are not to use deadly force against any person except as necessary in self-defense or in defense of another person, when they have the reason to believe that they are in grave danger of death or bodily harm. And then they also said, whenever feasible, verbal warning should be given before deadly force is applied. So, okay, August 22nd, they shoot his son, they surround his cabin, again, without even telling this guy or anybody in the cabin, because you've got to understand, he was there, his friends were over. They were having a nice night, a game night. His friends had come to visit. They were all hanging out in this cabin in the woods. Yes, they had guns. I will give you that part. They had guns. You know, he was obviously being apprehended on a illegal firearm charge, which, by the way, interestingly enough, side note, he never got convicted of. Okay, the original charge that they had against him, the illegal firearms, they found out all his firearms were legal. Okay, all the stuff he had there was legally owned by this man. So there was no illegal firearms. The man did not pose a threat in any way, shape, or form to the FBI or military snipers or to anybody else. The only shots that were actually fired at Ruby Ridge was from our government and from his 14-year-old son. And again, mind you, this is about a bench warrant, a failure to appear in court. That's all this was. So, and at this point, they're saying, at first, deadly force is basically authorized for anybody who you think might have a weapon. If you think they have a weapon, kill them. Fucking kill them. Kill them all. And then they accidentally shoot somebody, Vicky, who was standing out on the porch, opening the door for her husband and trying to talk to these hostage negotiators. They shoot him. Well, they were originally trying to shoot him. They shot through him and killed her. Okay? It's just, this is insane. This really, really is insane. In fact, most of the snipers said that the original policy that they got, which said basically shoot them all, was inappropriate and had never been given before. Okay, in fact, one team member responded to the briefing of the use of deadly force with, "You've got to be kidding me." But most of them accepted it. So, before the negotiators arrive at the cabin, when basically they told all the snipers and the agents, "Hey, if you see them, kill them." So before negotiators arrive, this FBI sniper, Lon Horichi, which again is the one who killed Vicky Weaver, he was 200 yards away, which, if you know anything about hunting or shooting, 200 yards is not that far. With a regular rifle, you could hit a deer at 200 yards. Anybody who can hunt could hit a deer at 200 yards with a regular rifle, no fucking problem. 200 yards is not that far. It's actually very close. And a military sniper at 200 yards, he should be able to easily pick your ass off without a problem. This guy does this for a living. Okay, so he's at 200 yards. North and above the Weaver's cabin. So not only is he 200 yards, he's also above the cabin. So he's got a good view of this. He shot and wounded Randy Weaver in the back with a bullet, exiting his right armpit. Now, when he shot him, Randy had no weapons in his hand. Again, this is a guy Randy Weaver is a guy who has, again, at this point, really no clue. Okay, because the hostage negotiators still haven't got there. The FBI has not announced why they're there. All he knows is that the U.S. military is out there with a bunch of guns and his son has been shot and killed. He doesn't know why they're there. Doesn't have any clue what really is going on. Now, they had taken his son to a shed. Okay? Now, he had not seen his son yet at this point, but they had taken him to a shed, put his son's dead body in the shed. So, this sniper shoots Randy Weaver in the back while he is trying to lift the latch on the shed to visit his son's dead body. The sniper later testified that he had put the crosshairs on Weaver's spine, but Weaver had moved at the last second, and that's why he did not kill Weaver. So, not only this, but he shot at Weaver while his 16-year-old daughter, Sarah, was out there, and his friend Harris. So, he shoots at Weaver. They don't know where the shots are coming from. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. The 16-year-old and Harris run back to the house because, at this point, they're just getting shot at if they come outside at all. So, Horichi fires a second bullet. Now, Harris is running away. He presents no danger whatsoever to these guys at this point. He's running back to the house. So this military sniper, under the orders of the FBI to use deadly force, decides that he's going to fire a second bullet into Harris's chest. Okay? So as Harris is running back to the house, Vicky Weaver stands out by the door, opening the door for these guys to run in, and is trying to holler at these guys, hey, we're not a threat. Hey, we're surrendering. Hey, don't shoot us. She's trying to bring down the situation at this point. Standing out by the door on the porch. Okay? Also opening the door for her 16-year-old and her friend to get inside before more shots are being fired. Because at this point, they're coming out there to look at the son's body. Soon as Randy gets out there, they're shooting at him. They're shooting at Harris right through the chest. Neither one are armed. Both are just trying to walk around the property again, not in any way, shape, or form showing any hostility towards these FBI agents or the U.S. Marshals. But under a direct order from the FBI, they can use deadly force at this point. They can just kill people randomly without any provocation. If they think they have a weapon, shoot them. Fucking shoot them. So again, these people don't know what's going on. They come outside, they're getting shot at. So Vicky opens the door, trying to holler at these guys, hey, we're not shooting, we're not trying to hurt anybody. Trying to get her 16-year-old in the house before she gets shot because bullets are flying around. Her husband just gets shot in the back for just trying to go out to the shed. And her friend gets shot in the chest for trying to run back to the house. So she's opening the door, hey, we're not trying to kill anybody. Now on top of this, Vicky was also holding a 10-month-old baby. Okay, she was holding their 10-month-old baby, Elizabeth, when she was shot. Okay? So she's holding a 10-month-old. You as a sniper can clearly at 200 yards see she's holding a 10-month-old. I don't care what you say. You shoot through Harris and kill her while she's holding a 10-month-old. To say that this was handled inappropriately is laughable at this point. So, June 1994, the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility, unequivocally in conclusion, in its executive summary, that the rules that allowed the second shot to have been made did not satisfy constitutional standards for the legal use of deadly force. In 1996, report of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, Subcommittee on Terrorism, Technology, and Government Information, Arlen Specter concurred with the senator that said that the lack of a request by the marshals to the Weavers to surrender was inexcusable. Harris and the two Weavers were not believed to be an imminent threat, since they reported as running for cover and not returning fire. The Justice Task Force criticized Hiroshi for firing through the door when he did not know if anyone was on the other side of it. While there is a dispute as to who approved the rules of engagement, which Hiroshi followed to the letter, the task force condemned the rules of engagement that allowed shots to be fired without a request for surrender. Okay. On Monday, August 24th, the fourth day of the siege, FBI Deputy Assistant Director Danny Coulson, who did not know that Vicky Weaver had been killed at this point, wrote a memo. Now, he's the FBI's Assistant Director. And this was the memo he wrote. Something to consider. The charges against Weaver is bullshit. No one saw Weaver ever do any shooting at any FBI agent. Vicky has no charges against her. In Weaver's defense, he ran down the hill to see what the dog was barking at. Some guys in camouflage shot his dog, started shooting at him, killed his son. Harris did shoot, and they are all in a strong legal position. So, at this point, they have, nobody at this point has told any of these people why they're on the property. Nobody has told them they are there to serve a warrant. They didn't tell them they had a warrant. Weaver nor Vicky, none of the people that they were there to serve the warrant on, has shot at any FBI agent or U.S. Marshal at this point. Okay, Harris, their friend, shot back after he was shot in the chest while running to a house. Okay? Nobody had a weapon except for Harris. You shoot a guy in his back while he's trying to look at his dead son and trying to figure out what's going on. You shoot his friend through the chest, through a door, while his wife is trying to tell you guys that they don't want any conflict. You end up killing her while she's holding a 10-month-old baby, while she's trying to get her friends and her 16-year-old daughter to safety. Okay? And all of this was done for a bench warrant. A failure to appear in court warrant on charges that the deputy director of the FBI clearly stated was complete and utter bullshit. Excessive? I would say a bit so. So, after 11 days of the standoff, they bring in some hostage negotiators. And the commander gave Gritz a deadline and said the Weavers got to surrender. And if they don't surrender by the deadline, they're going to launch a tactical assault on the Weavers' property. So at this point, they're telling a Weaver, look, guy, the hostage negotiators are telling him, hey, look, you guys either come out and surrender, or everybody's coming in, we're going to kill every fucking one of you. Now, they already know they're going to do it, because they've already killed his son, his wife, they shot him, they shot his friend. I mean, they know that they have one choice. Surrender, or the FBI is going to come in there, the U.S. Marine Corps is going to come there with full force and just kill everybody in the place. So the next day, they had no choice but to surrender. You know, this is the point, okay? And this is the point I want to get to in this story. And I'm going to end it real soon, guys. And I know this was a shorter than most episode, but it is our final episode. And I did want to do one more episode for you guys so that you guys had one final episode to go out on. But this is the thing, okay? This was handled, this and Waco, and a lot of FBI sieges that were happening in the 90s especially, were handled inappropriately, to put it mildly. Okay, you got a guy, to summarize, you got this Weaver guy, no weapons seen. Okay, you're coming in his property at night. You scare his 14-year-old son. Of course the kid's going to shoot at you because he doesn't know who you are or why you're there. And you kill him. Then you kill the dog. Okay, now, yeah, it also resulted in the guy who shot the kid and the dog dying. But the point is, this could have all been handled differently. The whole thing could have been handled completely differently. Like the FBI themselves stated later on in their report and their investigation, you didn't announce why you were there. Why didn't you come on the property in the daytime like a normal U.S. Marshal would do or a normal law enforcement personnel would do. Come in the daytime, a couple agents, knock on the door, see what happens, and then if it escalates, okay. If he escalates it to the point, yeah, he's got a weapon, hey, shots fired, we need the military, we need this, we need that, then at that point, bring them in. But why are you starting off with the U.S. Marines in full sniper gears and the U.S. Marine Corps infiltrating this man's property without A, telling him what was going on, B, telling him you had a warrant, C, doing anything that would be under the normal specs of law enforcement. And then on top of that, you're issuing an order to all snipers that, hey, if you see somebody with a gun, just kill them. Don't ask. Don't tell them why you're there. Don't tell them that you're law enforcement. Just shoot the motherfuckers. Okay, what choice do you have as a reasonable American citizen but to defend yourself at this point? Every time you leave your house, you're getting shot at. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to leave my house either if every time I walked out the front door, somebody's trying to take a pop shot at me. I mean, what reasonable human being is going to go, well, I'm going to surrender and walk out here. I mean, you shot my son, you shot my dogs, you shot my friend, you killed my wife, and I don't know why you're here, but yeah, let me walk out on the porch and surrender to these people that continually are shooting at me every time I step foot out my door. Okay, you wouldn't. You'd be scared to death for your life. And all of this could have been handled differently. And the FBI, I'm sorry, there is no way to say in any way, shape, or form that the FBI did not handle this inappropriately from the very start of the thing. The whole thing, from day one to the end of the thing, was handled inappropriately. And it was handled with disregard to human life. It was handled against FBI policy. And the whole situation could have been avoided with a simple knock on the door in broad daylight like a normal law enforcement personnel unit would do. But instead of doing that, they completely went the other way, and a 14-year-old boy and a mother who did absolutely nothing wrong lost their lives over charges that were eventually dropped. And that is ridiculous to me. And, people say, well, it was a long time ago, it's different now. No, it's not. If the government wants to come in and take you hostage, if the government wanted to come in today and take your house or take your car or take anything you own, they would do it. And if you think for a second that you can stop them, you are delusional. Okay, all you have to do is look at this case. Look at Waco. The government will kill you and take anything they want if they want to. And you have no choice. I mean, you can shoot at them, you can fight, you're going to die. And that's the basic reality of where we live nowadays. And as citizens, I believe we need to stand up for our rights as human beings and as citizens of this country and say, hey, these policies, these things you're doing, we're not tolerating this shit anymore. And the only power we have is elections and things of that nature. And if we as citizens don't band together and stand up for our rights, they will be eventually taken from you. Well, anyways, I hope you guys liked this final episode. I hope it was everything that you guys expected. Again, I want to say, from all of us here at the podcast, that I have enjoyed highly sharing 85 episodes with you guys and my time. I've enjoyed doing the Christmas specials for you guys, and for all of you diehard fans out there who listen every week, I want to apologize that we cannot continue the podcast. I mean, I would love to, we would love to, but, sometimes situations in life come about and you just can't do things anymore that you would love to do. And the thing is, this podcast doesn't make us any money. We were just doing it, for us and for you guys that listen. And we were trying to give you guys a little entertainment in your lives. So, but I hope you enjoyed the final episode. And I would love to say see you next time, but that will not be happening anymore. So all I got to say is, again, question everything in your life. Think for yourselves. Question everything you hear in media and the government and what you think is reality. And if I could leave you guys with a statement about this podcast, we have tried to push the boundaries every week that we put this out. We want to get you guys thinking. We want to get you guys to not be sheep in the herd. And whether it be thinking about the paranormal and possibly that there's ghosts, or possibly that this could be, or thinking about, society as a whole, of what our government has done and the things that have happened in society, or, realizing that sometimes in the past we've had a really bad, past history with Hitler and different things like that, or seeing, the just the horror that some people have put on this society with our true crime episodes. We always try to get you guys to think and to think for yourselves and, to look at things a little differently in society. So if anything on this podcast, I think that anybody who listens to it will be able to think and will be able to see past what you're spoon-fed in social media and mainstream media and the BS that the government gives you. So I've enjoyed our time together, guys, and I will always treasure, the times I've done this podcast. So, and like I said, I wish we could continue, but we just cannot. So I will see you guys when I see you, and maybe sometime in the future there might be a different podcast that I might try to start. I don't know. But as of right now, this will be the final episode of Perfectly Screwed. And I'm glad you guys listened. I'm glad you guys, joined me on this journey and joined us on this journey and went through it with us. And, I'll see you guys when I see you. Later, guys.